Hey, Brent.
Hi. All right.
Uh, Good. Hey, everybody. Yeah. Brent and I are here just to give you a little warning. We just finished recording this episode. Um, it's pretty long,
Like more than 90 minutes long.
like potentially around 90 minutes is where we're looking. Yeah. Yeah. So we just wanted to give you the heads up, a little common courtesy.
So if you want to hang in, go find a very comfy chair and join us.
Settle in. Or, hey, take it in pieces. Watch a little bit now, watch it a little bit later. We're here. It's going to be a bit. And now that we've added another minute with this intro, it's now going to be
100
91
minutes.
plus minutes. So we just wanted to give you this courtesy intro to let you know, buckle up.
It's the very least we could do. Alex Huard, are you ready?
Dude, you know what? I would love to say, hey, how you doing? How's the weather? But we got no time for that.
We have no time for...
We have pleasantries.
That's right. Just right into it. Beatles White Album, go.
Go. First song. Back in the USSR. Okay. Here we go. Let's do
It's
it.
a long record.
Yeah.
Just like super quick though. 30 songs on this. It's like full double record, right?
Yeah.
Again, this is the vinyl right here.
There it is.
Right? That was so funny, by the way.
It's
I love
huge.
that.
Yeah. Just that's the vinyl. You bet.
Yeah. So 30 songs. Now we have to decide what we're going to do. Or do you want to go through all of them? Like this is the biggest record we've tackled yet.
Yeah, it's big. I think we probably won't need to spend too much time on a few of these, like Wild Honey Pie, for example.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. We could probably just be like, skip. And then,
Just a couple of those.
Move on. So yeah, no, you know what, man? Let's what you love this album? Is this a big album for you? Like, what do you think?
This is quite possibly my favorite Beatles album.
Interesting.
It's very. This was my entry to the Beatles, and the first time I heard this was 1989, and I was 20 years old. And a dorm mate of mine used to listen to it in his room, and he had it on vinyl, and so we used to hang out in there forever, and just because it was on vinyl. And this is 89, right? You can't like fast forward and all that stuff. We would just let the song, the record play, but it was the second side of the first record. So it was side 2 of album 1. And so it started with like Martha, My Dear, and always ended obviously with Julia, which was my favorite song.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Yeah. And
great.
It's weird, right? When you're younger, you're looking for purpose, and you're just like looking for like, everything's romanticized, and it's like I was so dialed into this record, it was ridiculous. Anyway, quick commentary on the record from the Beatles' point of view. They in a lot of ways, this is the best Beatles album. In a lot of ways, it's not, right? Just because there's no technology anymore. They were very kind of adept with all the studio findings and technology and all that stuff previously. They just kind of gave up on that with this record. Everything, this is like the kitchen sink. Everything got thrown in. There's very little varnish on this record. There's very little production. George Martin walked out of it, went on vacation. Jeff Emmerich, the engineer, quit because everybody was fighting. So this album was a mess. It truly was. But you're seeing it in a sense, that's what makes it great, because there's no lipstick on it. This is just what you get. This is the true Beatles. So there are some gems on here, but there is also a lot of dreck and a lot of junk. George Martin didn't want to put it out as a double album. He said, there's a lot of stuff on here that doesn't need to be on here. And they said, no, I disagree. And so they went ahead with it. So, a lot of these songs were recorded singularly, right? Like McCartney would go off and do his thing, didn't want to be interrupted. Lennon did the same thing. And you hear it with Julia, with Blackbird, with, Mother Nature's Son. So really, really interesting record.
It's just really cool to see how they were able to like draw on all their kind of inspirations from growing up as kids and being kids, being teenagers and things like that. It's really just all combined into here. Kind of like what you heard on Exile, right? So this is just really cool to get all of this. But I don't know if you need to be a band as established as the Beatles to be able to do that. It's like you've already made your way in the industry, that people know you're the Beatles, what kind of music you make. You've almost like earned this right to make an album, first of all, this long, but second of all, that just combines all these styles of music. Like, do you think that's like a rite of passage, like after you've done so much, like you're kind of like allowed to do an album like this?
I just feel like this was like almost organically unavoidable.
Yeah.
Like these songs were written in India, most of them.
Okay.
And, like the other thing is like Yoko Ono was introduced into the history of the band, right? So think about, I always, when I listen to this record and I think about the Beatles in general, think about the course that they had kind of experienced thus far, right? And we talked about this a little bit in the last episode about, how they played the Cavern Club and just busted their asses for so long. And then all of a sudden they were gods. And, Time Magazine made a comment about saying this changes music, not just, any kind of music, like all music. The Beatles are, these demigods, like no one really kind of, understands what's happening. And it was a crazy time. Timothy Leary said the same thing about this band. Like he said that they were godlike creatures. Like it was just, it was, everybody's minds were blown. And,
and not that he was around at this time. I guess he was there when they first started. Sorry, I should say, but my man, Tom Petty, he's like, to me, there's the Beatles and then there's everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that was his take on it, as well as like when you looked up to him, everybody saw the Ed Sullivan live performance, and from there, whoever saw that, it was like, I'm making music because of the Beatles.
Absolutely, all roads lead back, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And what I do love about this album, also, is that it's kind of whether or not it was intended, you're seeing everything here. I touched on it a little bit earlier, but the lipstick, there's, the lack of varnish, but like songs like I'm So Tired, like there's an anger there, and it's almost like the performances, take kind of a backseat to the expression, it's a special album in that way, because like, it's almost like a glimpse behind the curtain, and you're seeing the personalities. You kind of had a fair understanding of who everybody was up to this point, but now you really see the blood and guts of the Beatles on the White Album.
It was a heck of an album. It was, I think quite a bit of this took some like listening to over and over again, but it's kind of like I said about Revolver or Sgt. Pepper's, in between that and Revolver, right? I was like, maybe the more I listen to Sgt. Pepper's, I might like it more than Revolver. This one, kind of the same thing, right? And again, it's nice with the different types of music, because, you go from back in the USSR into something like Dear Prudence, which is, pretty big juxtaposition. And then, even just thinking about, where is this later on, like Helter Skelter into Long, 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 like you just go into these different like mood swings.
Oh, God,
there's, that is just like, you're just not quite sure what you're going to get, but you're going to get something like Martha, My Dear, right? It's just like, it's like these, like, it's like 5 songs in one or something like that. You know, it's just like, it's all these different things. And you're just like, man, this is like the excitement of listening to each of these songs is like, what where could they go with this? And it's generally genius, of course, as everybody already knows.
You know what's really cool about that is that you appreciate that. I love that you see and kind of experience that when you listen to this album, because you could easily just look at this as almost an avalanche, right? And say, like, there's too much, like, I can't process it. I haven't had a lot of time to listen to it. But, like, Helter Skelter to Oh Bloody Oh Bloody, like, there's so much variance.
Yeah.
Wild Honey Pie, like, you're just like, it's just too much. There's too much stuff here. I have to break it down into pieces. You know? So
I did feel like that at the beginning. I was quite overwhelmed at first. I was like, oh God, how the hell are we supposed to talk about this? I guess. All right. But it was, it was a heck of a listen. It was a heck of a listen. So, I don't know. Let's try, man. Let's see what we can do here. All right.
And I have to, like, look at the songs. All right.
You don't have them memorized from 1 to 30, Brent?
Could you imagine?
The first 17.
Side 2 I do. But
right. First 17, the next 13.
Right. All right. Okay, so back in the USSR.
I didn't really like this tune like before, but again, like, coming back around to the Beatles, I just really enjoyed this song. It's good. It's this kind of like Beach Boys-y like feel of, about Russia, which is weird to say today, but
yes,
it was really cool. And actually, like, as I was also learning a little bit about Sgt. Pepper's, I heard that, like, Brian Wilson and Paul McCartney it seemed like they were going in this back and forth of, Brian Wilson heard Rubber Soul and wanted to make a better album than Rubber Soul. And then Paul McCartney heard Pet Sounds and wanted to make a better album than Pet Sounds. So I guess they made Revolver. And then it was kind of like this back and forth thing. So it's really cool to see them take this like homage to the Beach Boys in this opening track.
Stuff like that's cool. I like those little kind of nods like that. Yeah. I think that this was kind of a parody of a Chuck Berry song called Back in the USA, but it's almost like it's parody of the Beach Boys, right? Because it's like it's a California girls talking about, the Northern girls really knocked me out or whatever.
Right.
It's in that style, obviously, but it's kind of a wink to the Beach Boys, who McCartney absolutely loved.
And I guess maybe it's something a little more to like what I would know. Obviously, I know Chuck Berry. I don't know much Chuck Berry though, so like so I wouldn't really draw those two. But to me, this felt, like the girls in Georgia and stuff like that. Just felt like a Beach Boys track. So
a funny thing about this song, there was a lot of turbulence going on, obviously, with people coming and going. And Ringo had quit, and so when they recorded this song, Harrison, Lennon, and McCartney all played drums on the song. Ringo did not.
No way.
So it was all kind of patchwork together. Yeah, apparently.
That's wild. You mean like some other people could play the drums outside of Paul McCartney on this album in this band? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, that growing up, I know, again, I wasn't a Beatles fan, and I would always hear like this knock on Ringo Starr being like not a great drummer or just a simple drummer, and but it was funny because you would play the Beatles Rock Band game, okay, and people had a hard time playing Ringo's parts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I guess it was just the beat that he played on. People were like, "Oh, Ringo Starr," this is and I didn't know any better, so I was always kind of like, "Yeah, everybody says Ringo's not a great drummer, so I agree." But I don't know. I hear nothing wrong with his drumming.
No, me either. And it seemed to be kind of a wild variance of opinion, right? Because some people say that he wasn't that good, but then some of the most respected drummers in the world say that he had like swing like nobody else. Like he just had this feel that nobody else could really copy.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Well, he definitely demonstrates that later on when we can get to that song where he is very measured. But they do a great job of, well, they do a pretty decent job in transitioning, especially between this and Dear Prudence, which is cool. Similar to the, Sgt. Pepper's into With a Little Help from My Friends, just a nice easy transition from, the airplane sounds of flying to and from the USSR and into a lovely little acoustic ballad here of Dear Prudence.
This is also McCartney on the kit.
Oh wow! Okay. So Ringo was pissed. He was gone for a couple songs, eh?
He was gone. I think he was gone for 3 weeks.
Okay.
And the story goes that they begged him to come back. He finally came back, and when he did come back, they had put flowers all around his drum kit. It was kind of a welcome back. I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Harrison and Eric Clapton was also involved in the recording of this album, and so Lennon and McCartney didn't. I don't think they contributed to it. But anyway.
Jerks, eh? Just like. And they finally realized they should give him a song on this one. Dear Prudence is okay. It's all right. It's a nice little tune. Written about one of the women's sisters over in their Maharishi retreat, I guess.
Yeah. It was Mia Farrow's sister Prudence, I think, that she just kind of didn't want to socialize with anybody else.
It sounded like they were on this, like everybody was on this, like who's going to reach cosmic, whatever, or guidance or cosmic touch first. And so everybody was trying to find this. It was like 3 weeks she left herself inside and trying to reach cosmic whatever. And
meanwhile, like Ringo left, 3 weeks in because he didn't want to eat the food. Like that was his thing.
Oh yeah.
Tired of the food. So he's like, I'm done. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Can't blame him there. Yeah.
No, God. And then McCartney left shortly after that.
Who was it then that felt like they were stranded? They were trying to leave. Was it Lennon? And they were like, they were trying to leave the camp, and they said that the cab was taking forever to come and pick them up. And they're like, this is planned. They don't want him to come and pick us up. It's all part of the.
I don't know. I don't know who that was. Probably McCartney.
Maybe McCartney. Yeah. People were some of them were trying to leave, and it wasn't happening as quickly as they were hoping. And they're like, this is it. We're stuck here. They don't want us to leave. So I don't know. Yeah. It would have been a trip.
Culty.
Looking through a glass onion.
I like the song. It's kind of.
Baby, you can drive my car. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. It's bizarre, right? It's kind of like it's intended to be weird, and there's just a lot of references to I'm the Walrus, and it's like John saying. I think it was just kind of it was bait for all those people who said they could hear things in the records, right? They can hear, if you play this backwards, and this is, you're trying to send me these messages. And John thought that was funny. And so he, said the Walrus was Paul. I'm the Walrus. Yeah. Which really was a reference to Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And then there's a reference to Fool on the Hill, and Paul plays that little recorder part right after, which is kind of clever.
Okay.
There's a bunch of stuff. Like it's interesting.
I guess I probably wouldn't get all that yet. I'm probably not a versed Beatles fan enough to get it.
And again, keep in mind, I've read millions of books on this. So and this album I listened to quite a lot.
I don't mind the song, but like my little nod to Drive My Car there is like whenever it broke into that, like, looking through a glass onion, I was like, I always felt like Baby, You Can Drive My Car was going to come in right after that. And it just kind of has some similarities, my lack of, with what I know to that song. But
it's a good really tune. Interesting about that the Drive My Car thing. I think that was on Rubber Soul, which wasn't very long before this in terms of years.
Right.
But when you think about what those guys looked like and sounded like during the recording of Rubber Soul, and then during the recording of this album, is completely different.
You thought it was like 10 to 15 years later, right?
Oh, God. Like, look at John there.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And they look completely different than that, 3 years prior. So
fame will do, it'll age you, it'll do crazy things to you.
It's almost like, that time period of 63 to 70 was like almost like a dog years kind of chronology somehow. Do you know what I mean? It was like a whole bunch of life got pushed into 7 years. Everything happened so fast.
Yeah. Kind of feels like what's happening right now with the world, if I'm being honest. It feels a little. It feels a little.
Show.
Oh.
Move it along.
We gotta keep moving here. We're only track number 4. Good Lord. Yeah. I don't know. Glass Idea. I'm a big fan. I love it. I think it's interesting. Like, though, again, like the end, they go into this kind of like the string arrangement that takes you into maybe my least favorite song, and sounds like a lot of people's least favorite Beatles song in Obladi Oblada. Do you like this song, Brent?
No. I don't hate it. It's I just kind of appreciate what it's supposed to be. I think it's like a nod to ska. Apparently, that's how it started.
Yeah.
But and I always love the stories behind the song. So this is one of the greatest ones because, like, I've said about this album before. This is like the sound of the Beatles breaking up. This record, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, there's this anger. You can hear the tension. You can hear the vulnerability.
Yeah.
And there's a story that went around about John Lennon. They're relatively clean. They weren't really into LSD as much at this point.
Just heroin.
Yeah. but Lennon and I guess McCartney had spent so much time on the song, and he was very into the perfectionism of everything, and said, listen, okay, like, it's got to be this way. And they had spent like 2 days trying to get the backing track for the song down. And McCartney wasn't really sure, what he was kind of thinking and looking for and so on. So Lennon, he stormed out. He was so angry. And so McCartney was fooling around with it still. And Lennon rushed into the room, goes up to the piano and bangs out the intro that you hear on the record at like twice the speed that it previously was. Right? And then he stops and he looks at Paul and he says, "That's the bloody intro. Come on." And then leaves. But that's the intro that we hear now. Wow. So one of the engineers told that story. Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty angry. And yeah, one other thing, I read that story as well, is they said that like Paul had to utter like the 5 words that he hated to say the most, which was, "Let's do it your way." Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's right.
Ooh. I mean, you know what? I think to your point, I think I can appreciate it. Again, it's like, it's their take on this. It's their Jamaica, right? Is that what it is? Is that the Zeppelin tune, right? That is. That's kind of what I got from this too. I mean, this is a little bit more boppy, but I don't know. It's okay.
A lot of these songs sound like they don't belong with each other on the record, but I can't imagine them not being on the record.
On the record,
now.
It's a good point,
It's funny because like they're completely opposed. Like Helter Skelter and this song are completely different.
Yeah,
they should not be on the same record.
No.
And yet, I can't imagine either of them not being on this album.
I guess they're not on the same record, right? Helter Skelter's technically on record.
Technically,
too. Yeah,
technically.
Yeah, but I will say last thing about Obladi Oblada, it could probably be a fun sing along if everybody like you're jamming with knows the song. I would say that that could be fun. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I'm not like looking forward ever to really listening to the song. Now, where we need to spend our time is Wild Honey Pie. Okay, let's take our moments here to really dive into the intricacies and the textures and the subliminal messaging of who the Wild Honey Pie was. Was it Yoko? Okay.
Oh, God.
All right. Or was it Patty Harrison? Who could it have been? Right. I'm just saying. The continuing story of Bungalow Bill.
It's fine. Let's just keep going.
It was a jam. I love this song, by the way. I don't know how many people love this song, but I love Bungalow Bill. It's a great song.
I do too. That little beginning, that flamenco intro.
Yeah.
EMI Music Library.
No way.
For real. Yep.
God.
That's where it comes from.
I bet the person who recorded that is like, I'm on a Beatles album?
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah, right?
Is it? Yeah. This is this is a great song. I love it. I love like the story. I love the singing. I love the all the children say, "Hey, bug." It's just so good. Yeah.
This was the first song that I really learned how to play well on guitar. And it was like the first time I'd ever played a B chord.
Ooh.
Because it's just like a run, right? Like it's like 4 chords. And then and we would sing it, and I was so thrilled that I could like play guitar with other people. And we would sing this at the tops of our lungs.
Of course. Why not? It's so good. I love it.
Yeah, I do too. And Yoko Ono sings a line in this.
You know,
did you pick up on that?
Yeah, of course I did. Of course I did. I mean, it's hilarious because I don't know much about her, but like the minute I heard that singing that whatever high-pitched squeal it is, I was like, that's Yoko. That's gotta be Yoko.
So terrible. It sounds like a little kid.
That's right. Yeah. See, and that's why I could have also thought maybe it was Paul trying to like just like get into this like childish voice, but I was like, no, that's actually somebody trying to sing Yoko.
And see, again, like there's no innovation, technology kind of statements, right? There's no vary speed. They don't try to fool around with stuff. It's just, this is, she comes in, sings her little part, and then John, like it's very bare bones.
Yep. Totally. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. She sings along with him at some point on this too. And in the background as well. Like it kind of fits. Like it's super annoying, but it fits. So
again, I can't imagine that not being in there now.
Right. It's a great song. I'm going to learn this one. You're right.
It's really cool to play on the guitar. It's a good tempo and everything too. Yeah. Good rhythm.
Fun clapping at the end. Is this the one where at the end he yells something? Somebody yells something.
No,
it's the next one.
Helter Skelter.
Oh, no. At the end is he goes, hey-oh. Yeah. That was it's just like.
That's right. I don't know who did that. Is it Lennon or
it must have been. It sounded like it could have been a Lennon thing. So
could be.
While my guitar gently weeps.
I'm not a big fan.
Wow, that's got to be a hot take.
I don't know what it is. I don't know why I don't like it. It's just a cloying kind of. I don't. It's
because you don't like George Harrison. You don't like his songs. You're just not a George Harrison fan.
I think you're right. I just don't. Maybe I don't like him. I'm not a big Eric Clapton fan. I don't like Eric Clapton either. I don't know, and I can't tell you why. I just don't like them.
We don't have many other songs to go through, so we can spend some time on this and try and dive into. I like it. I think I really like. Throw daggers all you want. I think I really like the Tom Petty, Prince, George Harrison's son version of this at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's just great, right? So maybe that's where I come back to with this one, but
maybe
it's good. I don't mind it. I like it. It. Happiness is a Warm Gun.
Love.
You love this one?
Love this song. Love it.
Yeah.
This was spliced together from 4 different takes of different things. It was
wild.
This is like a Frankenstein song.
Oh.
But it was Lennon, and this is one of the better songs on the record, I think, in terms of. Yeah, do you think so?
I think so. Yeah. It kind of lends to this whole even with Martha My Dear, right? There's kind of few different variations of songs in one, but just so well composed and crafted that it's it's really good.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I think the composition is superior.
Yeah, it's a kind of little riff, the heavier riff that kind of gives that transition from Lennon's opening part into "Cause I'm going down." Right? It's this kind of neat little transition there, and then after that, it turns into this kind of
Galloping,
jovial,
kind of,
almost like,
yeah,
yeah.
there's like kind of a bunch of different characters in the song, you know, in terms of like oral characters, like different sounds and tempos, and yeah, really cool.
It is really cool. Martha, My Dear, totally one of like my favorite songs. Top 5 on this album, 100%.
I fully support that. I love this. This is only Paul. This is one of my favorite Paul songs. It's just so, it's perfect. You know, I love that piano intro is so kind of wistful and just really grabs me every time I hear it. It just got like a, man, the specialness of music is kind of embodied in that. I just, you know, this is such a great song.
I feel like you don't realize you like that style of music until maybe you hear it here, and you hear it like in this context, the way that it goes into this incredible, like, hold your head up, like just everything about this song and the where it goes is just, and it kind of comes back to when the song comes on, it's just this opening piano part, and you're kind of like, I don't really like this old 50s style ragtimey type of thing usually, until I hear this song, and then I'm reminded of everything else that comes in this song. Like this song is like, this might be the best song on the album. I don't know, man. Like this is like, it's so good.
I'm so glad that you love it that much. Like, what a melody! Like, just amazing.
I think that's the thing.
The melody is brilliant.
This is an incredible melody.
And again, speaks to, I've said before, like, you know, Paul McCartney, quite possibly the greatest songwriter of our time. And this is one of the reasons why I think about him writing this song, you know, just genius level songwriting. And fight me, like, honestly, this stuff just poured out of him seemingly, you know.
That's awesome.
Just incredible.
Well, I'm working on something similar like that song, so I'll play it for you.
I can't wait to hear it.
When I'm dead. I'm so tired because it follows this one up, and you know, it's a little, again, this is a bit more of a nicer transition to from a song like Martha, My Dear, and then into Blackbird. This is a nice little kind of like 3-song run of just chill out for a little bit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is like the sweet spot of this record for me, because as I said, this was the side of the record that like played over, like the needle would go to the run out groove, and then it would come back, and it would just like play just over keep and going, over. We didn't try to deter it. Like, we just listened to it over and over again.
You guys never flipped it, eh? You never flipped it over? You just kept listening?
I mean, a little bit, but like I wasn't a big fan of Back in the USSR for some reason. I just didn't like that song. I thought it was clowny. And I listened to like Glass Onion and stuff like that. Dear Prudence, I really liked, but yeah, this was it. Maybe just out of like convenience, though. Really, it just got left. Like, it just played, and I really absorbed it. But yeah, so tired. I love that part where he says the thing about Sir Walter Raleigh. He was such a stupid kid. I always wondered what that meant, and I took the time to look it up. And Sir Walter Raleigh introduced tobacco to Europe. Oh. Because he says right before that, and I'll have another cigarette, and curse Sir Walter Raleigh. He was such a stupid kid. For introducing me to tobacco.
Interesting tobacco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But again, the anger, right? You hear that anger. There's a cool, actually, this is a cool story. At the very end of this song, you can hear him say, biz, 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 you know, that part where it sounds like he's just going, biz, biz, biz. But he says, Monsieur, Monsieur, how about another? And someone said, when you flip that over and listen to it backwards, it says, Paul is dead, miss him, miss him, miss him.
That's what he wants you to think, okay? All right. He could have said the fox was Paul. Right. All right. But yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Lore. Blackbird's great. This is
oh my God. Another Paul tune. Brilliant.
It is. It's great.
So people think that's a metronome, that you can hear that clicking. That's Paul's shoe. So, you can hear, especially towards the end, you can hear like a tap, right?
Oh yeah, it's
But
right in there.
people think he's playing along with the metronome to keep time. That was an engineer that put a microphone beside Paul's foot after he noticed that he was keeping time with it. But the cool thing is, like, most people need a metronome. Paul just needs his foot.
Yeah, but people like me and Paul McCartney don't. No, I get it. No, it's fair. I get it. It's okay. Everybody who needs a metronome, Paul and I, we get it. We get it. We just don't need it. Right.
That's right.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, what a great guitar riff. Like, just a great, whatever you would call that. You call that a riff, or just call that a sequence chord pattern? I don't know.
Guess I don't even know. No, I don't think it's a riff. I don't know. Just a nice little piece.
Finger picking pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Piggies.
See, here's a Harrison song that I can get on board with.
Yeah?
I like this one. Yeah,
I do
too. It's kind of funny. It's a bit goofy, but I think it's funny.
Yeah. I love the gang vocals, man. I love how it's just like this like talking about piggies, basically human beings, and then it gets to this part at the end where it's just like everybody's singing in this, like, I don't know, like you just imagine them all in a medieval castle, totally. Singing to the king in, the like medieval garb. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I like it too. It's really cool.
Okay, good.
It's got a bit of a dark tinge, however, because of this.
Oh God, the size of this book that's coming up. The true. Oh,
yeah. Okay. So, do you know about Charles Manson and Helter Skelter?
I know about Charles Manson killing people, but that's about it.
So, Cole's notes: Charles Manson was a very peculiar little man who was kind of a pseudo cult leader. Started his own little Manson family in the late 60s and early 70s. But thought and told his devout followers that the White Album was a message from the Beatles to him. He was being sent a message by the Beatles that there was going to be an apocalyptic war. And he and the Manson...
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, see, me too, I know.
Sorry. Apocalyptic war.
My name is on this album, if you look closely.
If you look at this, where backwards. You take the B from that, the R from this, the N That's from that.
All the letters are there.
They're all there. Right?
It's a message.
God. That's crazy.
Like I just have to decipher it. Anyway, so he said that there was going to, he claimed that the Beatles were trying to send him a message that there was going to be a race war between the blacks and the whites, and that they should go underground and wait for this war to end. And when it was over, when everybody had killed everybody else, they would be able to rise and take over the world. And so the problem was that when they killed these people, they wrote Piggies on the wall, and there's pictures of it in this book, I won't show them, in the victim's blood. And they also wrote Helter Skelter on the wall. And so, they listened to this album over and over and over again. So a little bit of a black mark. Yeah.
That's disturbing. Rocky Raccoon, on the other hand, is... wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
I don't really know how to segue or continue that conversation, but that's something. Eesh. How was that book? Was that like, I don't know, is that book, can you say it was a good book, or can you say it was an informative book? Like, how do you describe reading a book like that?
Informative. That's what I would say. It's disturbing.
Right.
To read about what they actually did, but it is very informative, and unfortunately it's part of cultural history.
Right.
But yeah.
Log that under things not to repeat.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Rocky Raccoon's great though. Love this song.
Oh yeah. See, this was the other song that I learned on the guitar, because it's like A minor, D, G, C. Yeah,
Awesome.
it was so fun to play again.
Yeah.
Just these are great sing along jam tunes, right?
This is totally. I need to go learn this now too.
Yeah.
I love this whole like. I don't really love the fact that he's going to kill, his whatever, like girlfriends, whoever it ends up being,
his rival,
who's rival. But this when he gets shot, and then he goes into the and you're just like, what the Paul? What
I know.
you doing? But he was okay. Turns out Rocky was okay. So
That's right.
But that was why I loved that when it was like this kind of like somber kind of piano lick, and then all of a sudden he gets shot and it's ragtime.
It's like those old kind of spaghetti western, something, when you walk into a saloon and that guy's playing the piano, it's that style,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exactly it. It's exactly
so funny. Yeah. George Martin hated that song, by the way. He didn't want it on the record. He said it was useless filler. And McCartney said, no, it's not. It's going on the album. And it did.
Yeah. Well, there's more useless filler on this than that. So I don't know what he's talking about. But
there was a song apparently that George Harrison did called Not Guilty that they did like 102 takes of, and it didn't make the record.
Stop.
For real.
What?
That's a true fact.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So he broke up the Beatles. It wasn't Yoko. It was George. It's George's fault. Damn it. Who's Richard Starkey?
It's Ringo.
I was just making sure you knew that.
Oh, that's his real name. Where did you see
I never
the
knew that
somewhere?
Yeah, I never knew that until I got to Don't Pass Me By, and I was like, Richard Starkey. This must be a cover tune by a Richard Starkey. And then I was like, wait a second. They said Ringo had a song somewhere on here, but I don't see Ringo Starr credited anywhere. Just Richard Starkey. Ringo Starr. Yeah,
there you go.
That was me. That was my come to Jesus moment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Big fan. I love the song. I like it.
I hate it, actually.
Okay. I can see that. It's
just so unnecessary. But this is like the big, apparently Ringo had been wanting to perform a song like this since 1963, since the Beatles got big. And it's just very kind of like, I'm Ringo, I'm the friendly guy. Like, no one knows a lot about me, but I'm back here on the drums.
Yeah.
But I just, again, it's fine. But like, I never, if I could have back then, I would have skipped it every time.
Interesting.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Cool. Good.
Yeah.
Why don't we do it in the road?
I mean, you can't help but sing along to this one every time that comes on. Why don't we do it in the road?
Oh, that's pretty good.
Thank you. Like I said, Paul and I, we don't need a metronome, and we can sing like that.
Why don't we do it in the road? Saw two monkeys copulating in the street and said, why can't humans do that? This song was written thus.
We put so much stock into feelings and the right place and the time, and it's like, why don't we just yeah.
All right.
I will. I won't do that in the road with you, but I will is the next song.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying.
I will. It's nice.
It's nice. It's just, again.
Yep.
It's whatever. Yeah.
It's moving on.
That's right.
There's going to be some people who might be upset with this, but Julia, everything I'm feeling is meaning. Is that Fleeter?
Can you hear that? That's Fleeter.
Fleeter
Makes a reappearance on the show after like,
of course,
50 episodes.
He's taken a while. He's like, this Beatles episode. This is it. I'm going to do it. What's the opening line there? Everything I say is meaningless.
Half of what I say is meaningless. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because it's like either meaningless or meaningless. Like it's a great little line. I love that.
Very, very clever.
Yeah.
Now, I used to, again, I remember that record player being in the corner of the room and we were in the other corner all the time. And when the end of I Will, I knew that do 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 la 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 la. As soon as I heard that note, I was like, my favorite song is coming on right now. And I was so, that's a funny thing, isn't it? That trigger. When I heard those notes, I was like,
it's coming. Here it is.
And then it started, and half what I say is meaningless.
Yeah.
Love. Anyway.
Yeah. That's great, man.
Brilliant song.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
I do. I like that opening line, I think, the most, which is weird, but the rest of it is okay. It's not like, it's not what I'm like. Yeah, I don't have the draw to it like you do, but it's fine. It's okay.
It's about Johnny's mom who passed away. It was a very young age. She died.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He also mentions what Ocean Girl, which is Yoko, Ocean Child, which is kind of like Yoko as well, and
a peculiar melding of the two.
Yeah, and she mentioned fed him the line about seashell eyes, I guess, as well. So melding of the two, the mother and the
new
partner.
Mother. Yeah. But very there's a little bit of weird psychology there, but yeah.
Some would say Freudian. Okay, so there we go. We finished this one. Okay. All right. What is that? 45 minutes? Okay, great. Another 45 for you folks. They say it's your birthday. Huh? Anybody got a birthday? Who's got a birthday? Oh, you don't love it? No?
No. It's made up on the spot, apparently. Just like that. Do. Quick. Just on the spot.
Just jumped right into it.
Yeah.
I don't think this was a favorite of Lennon's, right? He was kind of like, this song is, I don't know. I feel like it's just trash.
He didn't like it.
But I do like the way it goes from this kind of like, like they say it's your breath, and then like the second half of the song is kind of this. It's a little bit different, It's cool.
It's not terrible. It could be a lot worse. It's like a novelty song for me. It's not really. There's no. I don't know. There's like you think about songs like Martha, My Dear, and Sexy Sadie. Yeah. There's sophistication, and this is just kind of.
This is a jam. This is a good time. Yeah. They would play this, I think, at like sporting events when it was somebody's birthday. They'd go around in commercial break and it'd be like, it's your birthday. And they'd play this song. And I remember somebody telling me like, oh yeah, this is the Beatles. And I was like, there's no way this is the Beatles. I was wrong. It was the Beatles. So Indeed. Whoever I said that to all those years ago, I know you're watching. I apologize.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Heartfelt.
I'm not that sorry. I don't really care that much. You're bluesy.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yep. Standard. It's
standard.
Very, very much standard.
This was like, I know that there's all this other things, but this was like we know the Rolling Stones are kind of like creeping around, right? Kind of a song, right? So we're going to do something kind of like this and keep it on the album. It was great. Yeah.
That was the big distinction between the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, because people said, you can have the Beatles or you can have the dirty Beatles, which were the Stones.
Oh, okay.
But people said the Beatles will always be better because they're more artistically and intellectually sophisticated.
Right.
From the context of music, right? And
right.
The big knock. And I think that McCartney said this. One of them did. Said the Rolling Stones were good, but really they were just like a bar band.
Mm.
We kind of took it to the next level.
I like bar bands.
So do I. I love Stones. Don't get me wrong.
No.
But, yeah.
Beatles had a hell of a run, though. We've only done 3 albums, and I don't know if the Stones ever had quite the run that the Beatles did in terms of music and
musical dog years.
Yeah. Mother Nature's Son.
I love this song.
Yeah.
And this is cool too, from a guitar player standpoint, like yourself. Like it's a bunch of different D shapes. So it's D, and then it's like D7, and then it's like D sustained or something weird like that. But it's this really cool progression that's very hard to play. But again, for Paul, he is just fooling around.
Is this also a foot tap in this song?
I'm not sure.
Maybe not.
I know he went off to do this by himself, and the story goes that he was doing this song by himself, and he wanted his own privacy. And John and Ringo were working on another song. I can't remember what it was. And they went over to see what he was doing. And it was not well received, apparently.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a lot of tension.
Can't believe they didn't stay together. Come on, let's make it easy. Make it easy. Oh, wow. God, Brent, we've been recording this for so long. I drank like half of this bottle. It's been so long. Now I'm just rocking out. I'm just like, hey, everybody's got something.
Are we gonna make it
me
through?
My monkey. No, we're good. We're gonna be back
through to the end.
This is a great song. I love this song. I feel like this isn't also a well-received song by some of the band, but this is great. I love it.
Yeah, it's just a jam. Just just a loose jam. No,
it was a monkey heroine.
I don't know what apparently this monkey thing was suggested by Harrison because the Maharishi kept saying, "and my monkey." So he would say something, da, 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 and my monkey. Kind of like, what's that old saying? Everybody and her brother.
Everybody and their grandmother. And totally.
Yeah, that's where that comes from.
Everybody and somebody. Yeah. Well, that's interesting because isn't Maharishi or Sexy Sadie supposed to be Maharishi?
I love that, right? That's a cool story that he was, I think Harrison said to him, you can't call the song Maharishi because it's nasty.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What have you done? And so he recorded it as Maharishi, but he changed it just before they recorded it at Harrison's suggestion, I believe, to Sexy Sadie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, because he was calling him out for like hitting on a girl there or something like that.
He thought it was, I think, Patty Harrison or one of the girlfriends. It was one of the women that was traveling with the Beatles that Lennon said he did something that was inappropriate. But then apparently the women came forward as well as the other members of the Beatles and just said, no, nothing really happened. Yeah. But he never let go of that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So must have been the heroin. Decent song. You know what? This actually kind of reminded me of like what could have been a T-Rex. This kind of reminded me of like a T-Rex tune, or T-Rex could have used this song as a bit of an inspiration.
No, he wasn't. He didn't use the Beatles. Remember that? He went back. Yeah,
that's a lie. Yeah. After hearing this song, that's a lie.
Maybe he was lying.
I think he was lying.
Mark Bolan would never lie to anyone.
Never to anybody.
His character was pristine.
He was totally
loved by everyone.
Helter Skelter. Here it is. Here's the tune. Is this it? Is this the big one?
I don't love this song.
Oh, very too heavy.
It's just a mess for me. It's just It's I don't know.
You don't put this up beside like Round and Round or Nobody's Fault?
No, you see, that's really interesting, right? Because I should like it, but I don't.
Because if you don't like this song, then you don't like hard rock, Brent.
Right. I saw that comment too.
Yeah.
Thanks for that glimpse into who I am.
Yes,
person
please.
Who doesn't know who I am at all. Tell me who I am. Thank you.
Thank you for telling me I don't like hard rock. That's the whole point, though, right? That's the whole point. We're supposed to generate discussion.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't so bad. It's okay, this song. I don't know.
It's fine.
It's fine. Interesting.
I think the dynamic there was that I went through listening to, and I heard Motley Crue's cover of this. You know,
right.
I didn't really care for that when I was in grade 9. right?
Yeah.
In 83. And then I heard this record in 89. So I kind of had heard all the hard rock backwards. Because this was proto metal, really, this song. And it just was like, I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah. So apparently the Helter Skelter is slang for, those spiral slides that kids get on and they kind of go in a circle, right? But
yeah. But like any spiral slide, or is this specific to the kind that they have where it like actually goes around a building?
No, just a spiral slide. It's
okay,
because they call it Helter Skelter.
What I had seen, like when I was looking this up, was that there's a slide built around like this building. So like you would walk up the middle of it, and then you would take the spiral staircase all the way around. And I was like, I've never seen a slide like that where like you go up the middle of a building and then it.
What?
I don't know. It's like at a fair. Yeah, I don't know. That's fine. I'll put a picture up, but it just.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I don't know. I saw this and I was like, I've never seen one of those slides in my life, but yeah, it's a slide. When you get to the bottom of the slide and you get back up and you do it again.
Yeah, but see, Charles Manson understood that to be hell. So it was like a tunnel to hell. That's what he thought Helter Skelter meant. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
You don't need to go back there.
It's okay. Hey, it's fine, man. No worries. I bet he thought he had blisters on his fingers too.
That's Ringo, eh?
It's got to be Mr. Starkey.
Yeah.
What I don't really get about this song is that end where it's like they fade it down and then they bring it back up again.
Don't know.
Yeah. Again, it's just this idea that they were just having such a good time doing whatever they wanted and however they wanted to do it.
Yeah,
Beatles.
Again, well, that's it, right? It was defiance. It was probably John's idea. Let's just do that. Or Paul. Paul was like that too. They were very defiant, both of them in different ways.
And then you come down to Long, Long, Long.
George Harrison again.
Yeah.
It's kind of a Dylan theft a little bit. It's the same chord progression from one of his songs. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, again, he said it was his best work on the Beatles, but
I'm a big fan. I actually really like this song. And this is that song we were talking about. I don't know, what was it, 2 hours ago now that we talked about Ringo's drumming? How long has it been since we started this episode? 2 hours now?
I've had a birthday since we started.
That was about the beginning of this side. It was his birthday. But this is what we were talking about, where Ringo really was like spare in his drumming, or really knew where to fill in like with drums and fill in appropriately was a song like this. So
yeah.
I agree with that.
That's tasteful playing.
Tasteful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Revolution 1. This was interesting to me.
Yeah.
It's a meh. Interesting. See, I only know they say you want a revolution. I only know that version. And then I heard this and I'm like, this is new. Interesting. Never heard the slowed down version.
Yeah. Well, I think that the problem was that this was supposed to be a single, and then they said it was too slow. So they wanted to kind of crank it up and, get people's attention. So they sped it up and turned up the volume.
Here's one thing I will say about going this long on an episode like this is like, maybe people are just waiting, or maybe they're coming and they're like, okay, I got to sit here for the rest of the show because there's got to be something maybe I don't know near the end, like for Honey Pie, right? Like maybe they're all waiting around to hear about Honey Pie.
Yeah. Right. This song Lennon hated. And he said, like, there's nothing that you could do to the song to fix it. That's what he actually said. It's like irretrievably awful or something like that. Yeah.
But again, so close to Paul, because it's something his dad would listen to. And he's like, this is something that I would listen to as a kid. And so he wanted to recreate something like this that hit close to home for him, which to me is like, that's it. So you don't like Honey Pie?
I do. It's fine. I mean, it's like a flapper music, right? It's like a 20s kind of tune.
Yeah.
You know what I like about it is that you won't hear a song like this anywhere else. Again,
no, like probably not.
It just begs the question, like, where did this come from? Yes, McCartney's youth, I guess, but like, it's just out there, In that way, you kind of almost have to appreciate it.
Cream tangerine. Big fan. Love this song. It's Boy Truffle. Ton of fun.
It's fine. But
It's fine.
So, yeah, it's all right.
Oh, come on.
Harrison singing again about his boyfriend, Eric Clapton,
It's
and
funny,
his
yeah.
love for chocolates.
Didn't Clapton steal his woman?
Yes, that's idiotic. That's Layla.
Yeah.
Like,
that's so
what the hell's
good.
wrong with you? He basically gave him his wife.
Yeah. Was that before or after this song, though?
Right after, I think.
Right after, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, this is all about chocolate, essentially, and rotting Clapton's teeth. If you
That's
didn't know, it's just Clapton would eat so much sugar. So it's basically like naming a bunch of ingredients on a chocolate bar, and how if Clapton stopped eating, he'd lose his teeth.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Thanks, George.
yeah. Cry, baby, cry.
Good song.
Oh,
Really good song.
you surprised me, Mr. Jensen. You surprised me. I'm kind of like, I thought you loved Savoy Truffle, and you're kind of like, eh. But you're like, cry, baby, cry. Yeah, this is
It's
it.
just these songs, from Lennon, from McCartney, just have so much more authority, I find, in terms of just gravitas and weight. Maybe that's wrong to say, I don't know, but like when you listen to Savoy Truffle, it's just kind of very breezy, and then you listen to Cry Baby Cry, and it's so like it just cuts to the quick, like it just gets you.
You know what we should do, Brent? And I'm not going to hold us to this, but like for next episode, we should come to our like one album version of this album, like
That's a
one
good
disc.
idea.
Like let's break this down into what we think would just been a great side A, side B, white album.
Okay, because this is really 3 records, right? So there's there's 10,
yeah.
10, 10. So what would you do? Would you have 10 songs on it?
I think so. I think we bring this down to like a 5 and 5.
Okay,
Yeah,
I like
like
it.
5 and 5.
Let's do it. Okay,
I agree.
you bring your
But we
10,
don't have
I'll
to
bring my 10.
But we don't have to think about length, right? We're not trying to think about how much would fit on a side, right?
10.
Okay. Because I think that it's cool that there's this many songs, but like I don't think that it doesn't need all these songs, and there is a really incredible one album here.
See,
that we're gonna make.
I'd love this because it has so many possibilities. We can invite people to do the same thing, right?
You should
So,
do the same thing.
Of the White
Yeah.
Album, you have to make your own record consisting of only 10 songs.
Yeah.
What is it? I love
Yeah.
that. Let's
Absolutely.
definitely do it.
Okay, great. And look, if you're watching this later than the live show, send it to the email address that you see there, and send us your list. If you're watching this, you want to send us your list. It doesn't matter if you're watching this 2 years later, 3 years later, an hour after it airs. Do it. Send it to us. We'll bring it up at some point the minute we see it.
Right.
That would be really cool. Do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay.
You
I love
one
that.
5 songs aside. All right, 10-song album.
Yeah.
Breakdown for the White Album.
It's going to be
okay.
tough. That's only 1/3 of these songs.
Well, I can tell you what song is not going to be on it, and I know this is going to become a bit of a surprise or a shock to people, but Revolution 9 will not be on my track list. I don't mean to cause a stir.
McCartney was not there for this. Did you know that? He was not happy. He did not want this on the record.
Boy, they really got him, didn't they? Huh? Obla dee, obla da. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This just, to me, flies in the face of all things the Beatles were in terms of like how they looked at what could be on their albums, but at the same time is like, it doesn't, because they're also just doing whatever they wanted. It's like they were kind of, it was, again, it's this, they're taking liberties. They were doing a honey pie. They were doing a wild honey pie, a Rocky Raccoon, a Helter, like doing all these things. What really makes this so different than just being this experimental type of a track that they could throw on as part of this? But to me, I feel like it's just because there's no real musicality to it. It just is like everything that is not the Beatles.
Yeah. I don't know how to explain the song. you know, like because you think about the previous records, and maybe this is just kind of them thinking back to Sgt. Pepper's and doing all the peculiar things that they used to do. I don't know why they did it, but like, I don't know. It doesn't. I kind of wish it wasn't on this record.
Tear-jerking moment here. As I was a child, my mother would sing "Good Night."
No way. This very song.
The song she would sing. You know, the "Good Night, sleep tight." Yeah.
No
absolutely.
way.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
Everyone else who's watching is crying.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's nice.
And then I heard it, and I was like, "Oh, this is the song."
Oh, you hadn't heard it until you listened to this record?
Yeah.
No way.
I had no idea,
Did you
man.
freak out?
I had a bit of freak out, man. Like I heard it, and then I heard it with all the string arrangements, and like I heard all this stuff, and I was like, "Wow, this hit me right the feels for sure."
No, you must have been like, where were you? So this is this is a big moment, man.
Yeah, I was driving, which is even more terrifying. Yeah. Yeah. So it was pretty heavy, man.
No kidding.
Yeah, I heard this and I was like, "Oh my God, Ma used to Ma."
There she
in
is.
The chat.
HH.
She used to sing this to me when I was a kid, going to sleep, and that's what I remember. Yeah.
So very quickly, funny story. I saw Double H in the parking lot at the grocery store the other day. Did she tell you?
No.
Yeah,
no, she did.
Yeah, she yelled out, "Brent, it's Holly." And I was like, "Hey." And I went over and chatted with her. And your dad was on the phone with her.
Oh. Yeah. Nice. That's hilarious. That would have been funny if you were just like, "Hey," and then walked in.
"Hey, what's up?"
Yeah, and then walked inside.
Slicked her.
Yeah,
"Hey, what's up, man?"
Yeah, hey. That would have made a hell of a story right there. He didn't even say hi to you. No, didn't even walk over to me.
Yeah.
That would have been a Seinfeld episode right there. He waved at you, but he never came over to you. No, never came over to me.
I wasn't completely sure who it was because she had sunglasses on, and
right.
She said, and she kind of turned me around, and she was back there.
Yeah,
and she said, "Brent," and I looked, and she said, "It's Holly," and I said, "Oh, and I know now," but I couldn't tell exactly who she was at first.
No, because they're the big sunglasses, and yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. That's great.
That's funny.
Cool, good.
So wow, what a cool story. Good night. That's a great way to end this little.
There we go. Cap it off.
Little. This is like a big show, like the longest, biggest show.
Several minutes together here. Yeah, man. Yeah. So hey, I mean. If I'm going to stay true to this thing, I mean, it's not a perfect album, which means it's not a 5 out of 5, but there's a lot that's very good about it. So I think this might be like my first, maybe like 4.8.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that score. Yep.
Okay. I don't think it can quite be a 4.5, but it's not a 5, but it's, it's a little bit, it's the in between.
It's a tough one, but I probably, if I had to, I probably would give it a similar score. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
4.8.
All right.
Good.
So thanks to everybody for hanging in there with us. Thanks to you for hanging in there with me, Alex.
Yeah. Of course.
Now it's going to be this one.
Oh, a new Beatles record. Abbey Road.
Yes. This is Abbey Road. Yeah.
Okay. I know that because I recognize that's the cover. The cover's iconic. You can't not know that album. So
yeah.
All right.
So we're gonna do that one.
So wait, when does this come in? This is after this album?
This is immediately. Well, not immediately after, but it was after. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So I felt like they were like ready to break up. But so they had Let It Be, right? Wasn't that even?
That came out like after. It's we'll tell that story next time because it Let It Be kind of there was some complications, but this chronologically this was the next record.
Interesting. Okay. Because I guess even technically between Peppers and White album was the Magical Mystery Tour EP.
Yeah,
right?
There was like the Yellow Submarine was technically the next record, but like between this one and I think
Let It Be.
I don't know. They did a lot of very bizarre stuff, right? So like soundtracks, like Yellow Submarine and Magic Mystery Tour and
It's just so
Hard Day's
crazy
Night.
how much they still got done in the midst of this, like Ringo leaving for a bit, and
Yeah.
Paul leaving, and George Martin, like George Harrison leaving, like all this stuff.
Jeff Emmerich. Yeah, I know. Again, that compressed timeline, 7 years. They did so much in 7 years.
Yeah,
It's like a musical dog's age.
I'd hate them too. That's fair. Yeah, I get it.
All right,
Cool. Abbey Road.
there you go.
Let's
Okay.
do it. Maybe, if it so happens that between now and that episode we blow up, maybe they'll want us to record the episode at Abbey Road Studios. Maybe we'll fly out to sunny old England to record the next episode for you folks.
Let's do it. We'll walk on
Okay.
the road just like the way that they're doing there.
That's right. Yeah, Paul's
Yeah.
dead, and that's right.
He's got no shoes on. Good sign.
Left-footed first.
Yeah. Lots of signs.
Everywhere a sign.
Everywhere, sign.
Nice.
Good night, Alex.
Good night.
I'm not going to sing it.
Good night.